So, as promised, now I would like to talk about things that did not work for me, as well as I would have hoped they would work for me. Overall, this film is great. It's everything a Superman fan like me wanted. As a film fan, there are a couple of things to be desired. Again, James Gunn achieved his goal of making the general populace like Superman, and as a Superman fan, I cannot complain. But I do want to briefly talk about things that didn't work for me. The main thing is the pacing in the very beginning. The pacing in the beginning, everything up until they escape the pocket dimension, is a little weird. Other people have talked about this, and James Gunn mentioned in interviews that originally the plan was film be divided into days, have each scene that's a different day start with like a title page, almost like different issues of a Superman comic, which I think would have worked very well. I think he was worried it would be too experimental for the general public's first time watching a Superman film, but I do think that would have made the pacing a lot better. You can tell in a lot of spots where the day was supposed to start, where we're supposed to say Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, all those kind of good stuff, but I do really think that they should have included it. The time frame, everything again up until they escape the pocket dimension, it's kind of hard to tell when things are happening. For example, Superman is talking to Lois and then they get in a fight and he leaves the building, right? And then it cuts to Lex Luthor in the Fortress of Solitude. I know it's daytime and it's nighttime here, but that's because it's in the Arctic and the time zones would be different. But I do want to know how long he had been there and what the time frame was relative to when Superman was talking to Lois, because he could have left at any time and ran into them at the Fortress of Solitude. But then we go into the next day and it's daytime and Superman's fighting the kaiju, so he either didn't go home at all overnight and was just chilling after he fought with Lois and just didn't go home for some reason, or that was the day before. And anyway, if you watch it and you think about it when things are happening, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's not a huge deal. It doesn't cause that many problems. It just didn't work for me as well. The CGI is dicey in a couple spots. I mentioned this in the last video. It's not bad for the most part. There's some shots that are really good, but like the tooth scene where he punches the dude and the tooth bounces off, that looked like shit. It looked like The Flash. I like The Flash. I'm not even a hater of the Flash movie, but the CGI is really bad. The jokes are a little on the nose in a couple spots. They're a little bit too Guardians for me. I think the film is serious and emotional when it needs to be, and for the most part, it does keep that tone pretty consistent. But there are a couple spots that I was rolling my eyes a little bit at the jokes. I would have liked it to, keep a consistent pacing of the emotions. But again, neither here nor there. I do want to mention the evil Superman problem.
Yeah, go Superman! Oh fuck, it's Superman!
I think evil Superman is overdone, and it has been overdone since, I don't know, Injustice probably. And again, I really like Injustice. It's overhated to all hell. I think people hate Injustice because of the way that Snyder portrayed it, but I think the overall Injustice story is very good because it contrasts well with the regular Superman who is in the story. But I do think Ultraman, for the first film that is meant to reintroduce the general public to Superman, Ultraman is not the villain I would have used. I understand Lex Luthor's the main villain, but I wouldn't have even included him for this story because I just don't think that we need another evil Superman when we've had one in every Superman story since Injustice. So, and plus with The Boys and Invincible going on right now, it's just, I don't need any more evil Superman for a little bit. I'm glad he's probably going to turn into Bizarro. I think that's very cool, but I do wish that they would have saved Ultraman for another story. Speaking of pacing, like I mentioned, I do think the text crawl at the very beginning is a little bit rough. I don't think text crawls work for the most part. I think that Star Wars does it well, except for Rise of Skywalker, but we do not want to talk about Rise of Skywalker right now. I think text crawls take away from a lot of the things that we want to see and ruins the show don't tell of a lot of stuff. I think that Superman losing his first fight is very significant, and I would have liked to see that. I'm not saying we need to see him be sent from Krypton again, but I am saying that him losing his first fight, even him announcing himself as Superman, I think is important, and I would have liked to see that, because I would have liked to see how a comic book world that is very different from our real world, unlike the Snyder films that it's basically our world, I really would have liked to see how a comic book film with a comic book world would react to a very, very powerful metahuman, even though they see them every week. I would have liked to see how they would have responded, but that's not the huge deal. It's mainly the losing his first fight. The text crawl isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I do think that there's a couple of things in that text crawl I would have liked to see. My big nitpick that I don't think ruins the film at all, it's not even a problem, it just stuck out to me with my ape brain. I really wanted Superman to show up at Jaranpur when the kid raised the flag. I understand the Justice Gang needs something to do, and I understand they need to have some sort of role in the final battle, so him not showing up to that is good, and I love all the scenes that he has in Metropolis. But I really do think that it would have been really cool to have him show up there. Even what I would have done to have your cake and eat it too, I would have had him show up at the very end after he stops Lex Luthor and Lex Luthor has his little pouty face moment. I would have liked to cut to Jaranpur and having the soldiers be backing off and they're about to rally for one last push. They're facing the citizens and the Justice Gang. They're about to have a big fight, and then have Superman pop out of the air with his arms folded. Don't even have him say anything. Just have him show up, look at the soldiers, and have them drop their guns and run. That would be very cool, and then everyone can cheer, and the kid can have his Superman moment, and then you can cut to the bit where Metamorpho talks about the Justice Gang name, who doesn't change very much, but that would have worked for me. Speaking of Justice Gang, the last thing I want to mention is the Justice Gang. People complained about the Justice Society and Black Adam, and these guys are pretty much the same thing. The only thing that differentiates them is they are very accurate to their comic book counterparts, and they have a little more personality than the Justice Society did, aside from Dr. Fate, who's very good in the film. But I do think that I would have liked to see more from them. I do understand this is the Superman film, and I'm glad they didn't take away from Superman, but I do think introducing them kind of takes away from Superman, but you're also not expanding on them at all. I know we'll probably get more from Guy Gardner in the Lantern show, and I heard Mr. Terrific was getting his own show, so I'm assuming we'll get more from them eventually. I just wanted more from them in that moment, but otherwise, that's pretty much everything that didn't work for me. Again, overall, it's very good. As a comic book fan and a Superman fan, it is everything I wanted. Next video, I do want to talk about some of the things that didn't work for me in the Snyder movies to see if there's anything that are different from, if they have different problems from the Gunn movie, or if they're the same problems. I'm not going to do them all separately. I'll do all the Snyder films in one video because I do not want to do them separately. It wastes my time, it wastes your time. Let's not waste time. And then I do want to end on a happy note and talk about the things that did work for me in the Snyder films. I want to talk about the things that I really did like. There's a lot of things I do like. I think they are drastically overhated. I do think that they have a lot of problems, but I do think that Snyder had a vision, and I can see the vision. I just wish that it was done a little bit differently. We'll get to that when we get to it. Hopefully you all liked Superman 2. I'm assuming you all liked it because it's the biggest movie of the year right now. Anyways, that's enough from me. Bye.